What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to be looking at the EMP EDC Pulse. Let's get into it. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do some size comparisons, profile comparison, weigh the knife, and then we'll jump into my thoughts and impressions on this Pulse. All right, let's kick it off with a couple of folders. That's generally what most folks tune into my channel for, but OTFs are now legal in Virginia, and I'm definitely getting into them more and more. Here it is against the Spyderco Shaman and the Spyderco Para 3. So this one here is more of that medium-sized EDC. A little bit, just a tiny bit bigger than the Para 3 on the table. Let's go ahead and move the Shaman out of the way and grab the Civivi Bull Tusk. I am really enjoying this one a bunch, but that is more of a full-size comparison, a little bit more blade length, a little bit more handle length on that. And we will go ahead and move, oops, I moved the wrong knife. Let's leave the Bull Tusk out here and bring a medium-sized EDC comparison out here instead. Here it is against the Migron Moyarl, one of my favorite EDCs, under $50. It's a budget banger. Absolute value for money is 100% there. And again, I do constitute this more as a medium-sized EDC, and you can see it's really close. And actually, just really quickly, I am going to grab the Para 3 and bring that back out here so you can kind of see what I mean, that the Para 3 is a little bit of a smaller size, just a little bit. They're still kind of in that medium range, but that Pulse is a little bit closer to the Moyarl and a little bit above. So actually, in between, right? It's in between. Let me bring out a couple OTS for comparison, and then we'll do profile for thickness. Here it is against the Recon from Guardian Tactical, and you can see they're very similar. There's a little bit more length on the Recon, but very similar. And then here it is against the Chimera from TacCom.com. So this one here is a little bit more slender and longer, but the Guardian Tactical Recon is more in line with that girthiness, like the tall width on the blade, on the handle, which I think is a really good comparison. So let me just do profile thickness against the two of these, and maybe like the Shaman. So here it is against the Recon from Guardian Tactical. I don't know how well that'll show on camera, but Guardian Tactical is just a tiny bit thicker. And then the TacCom.com OTF, sorry, it's a little hard to do because I'm trying to find where that chamfering is. Also, just a skosh thicker. So this is pretty thin. And actually, I said the Shaman, but I'm going to bring the Para 3 out here because the Para 3 and the Pulse are very similar in thickness, profile thickness. So I like that from that standpoint. It's got that tall handle, but it's also very thin and slender in comparison to the other two. Now let's check the weight out. I haven't checked this out yet. Coming in at 4 ounces. How does that compare to the Guardian? So the Guardian's like 0.2 ounces. I doubt you'd be able to feel that in hand. Maybe you will. I don't know that I would. And here it is against the TacCom, which, yeah, it's more slender, very lightweight EDC. So good weight coming in at 4 ounces. Good size comparisons out of the way. And we got profile thickness out there. Let's go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions on the EMP EDC Pulse. Handle, I absolutely love this. This is a great thickness or thinness, depending on how you want to look at it. I like it. It's very hand-filling. I love this type of size for everyday carry and everyday use, and for hard use for EDC tasks like breaking down boxes, things of that nature. Apologize, I just realized that I had not moved my microphone into position. So hopefully you were able to hear pretty well up till then. And if not, I'll adjust it on the back end. But back to the knife. Well, when you're doing push cuts, heavy duty cuts, and things of that nature, it's really nice, but it works really well for me with the larger hands for the pinch grip. I'm able to very easily get into position. The ribbing here is very nice for the finger and the thumb to kind of pinch it. and I can get out to the tip of this reverse Tonto, which is a great utility shape, great for draw cuts, utility cuts, and it's got a good thickness to it. At first, I was a little concerned about the thickness on here, but it's got a good thickness to the blade shape, and I really do appreciate that. We'll circle back to that in just a second because I kind of skipped over the pocket clip. I like aesthetically the pocket clip. My only wish is that it was reversible because like the Recon, the Pulse is not reversible. It's right hand carry only, which I kind of think is a little bit of a miss. But when you look at the TACCOMs, they are rear mounted and they're completely reversible. If you took this pocket clip and you kind of made it symmetrical and just have both tips come down, or square it off to kind of mirror the blade, the handle a little bit more, I feel like you could make this reversible and have it being rear mounted. Now, I'm not familiar with the design, and I say that with the caveat of it could be that they have the maximum amount of blade to handle ratio that they can get, and they could not screw it in from the rear, which is why you see it kind of top mounted. Um, I also think that if you do put the holes here to reverse it, it would take away a little bit aesthetically as opposed to having it rear mounted. Now, that could be a hit or miss thing, but this is nested into the scale a little bit. You can see the lines here from where it's nested down into the scale, making it more secure in my opinion and less likely to move. Goes in and out of the pocket well. It has a little landing pad here that they made it flat to go there. Occasionally I catch a little bit of the ribbing, but it's not super sharp aggressive, so you just kind of feel it like did it like skip coming out of the pocket, but it works really well and it has really good edge retention. The knife, ergonomically and everything works well. I love this switch. It reminds me of the Hogue Counter-Strike switch where it has a nice ramp, but unlike the Microtex, it's not so aggressive that it's like biting into the finger. It's a pleasure to work. It moves very smooth for me. It does have a stronger pull to overcome, in my opinion, than the Recon and the Chimera. It's definitely a heavier pull when you're pushing into it. And actually, looking at these switches, they're very similar in design. TACCOM and, from my understanding, EMP both use Best Tech for the OE, so that does make sense. The pull on this one's a little bit lighter. On this one, a little bit heavier. I would rate this one like a 6. I would give this like a 7.5 as far as the push and the pull, almost an 8. My finger actually will get tired flicking the Pulse faster than it does with the Chimera. The Chimera, I can do it a little bit more before the thumb starts to get tired, but they both have very strong pulls. And then on the Recon, it's just, I would call it more of like a 5 all the way around. Um, yeah, definitely a 5 all the way around. Let's talk about the blade shape. We're going to get back to that. Reverse Tonto with the swedge with the opening hole, which is obviously just for aesthetics. Same thing like you would see on a dagger style blade. It's just there for the aesthetic. The geometry, I haven't actually checked these two. It is a little bit thinner, it looks like, than the Recon. Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit thinner than the Recon. It is a pass-around knife, so I can't do any heavy cutting with it. And I apologize, this is a sheet of paper I used for something else earlier. And again, this has gone through others before coming to me. It started with Lefty. Shout out to Kevin. Thank you for letting me check this out. And thank you, EMP for sending it to Kevin so he can share it with us. I really am grateful for that. But comes with a great factory edge, I believe, and I did forget to check that this is Magna Cut, I think. Might have that wrong. Yeah, my Magna Cut at 62 to 64 HRC. So Magna Cut steel at the proper heat treat. Even though it has gone to other channels, it seems to have a really good edge on it. I'm glad to see that. It does pass through the material okay. I was a little worried because it is a tall blade, but because they decided to go with the design aesthetic It only goes halfway up the blade before it gets to the full stock thickness. And again, I do have a piece of cardboard here. I guess it'd be okay to test it on the cardboard because I'm not going to be reusing this case. So we'll just do one cut through the cardboard just to test it. This is from something I purchased and there's no labels on here. So just to kind of show on camera, when it goes through, yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like this feels like it's a little bit more of a challenge. Let's see, what's the blade stock thickness here? Very similar. What I would say is, let's check out something like the Para 3, which midway through, we're looking at the midway point, going to be about the same thickness, but you have the taller flat grind here. So going midway through, yeah, see how much easier? I don't feel like there was as much resistance going through that piece of cardboard. And again, I just wanted to demonstrate what my concern was with that particular cut right there is that the knife is going to feel thicker going through it, even though this is a hollow grind. It's just really a shallow hollow grind, and it gets to the full thickness of the stock, the blade stock, really quick. What I would like to see if they do additional runs of these, because they did eventually sell out, so that there's some popularity there. What I'd like to see happen is that they just make it symmetrical, and that they move this hole up to have the same line that you see below the hole currently above it. So move that up, shorten this swedge, and just have the line for both of these be the same thinness higher up on the blade. And that way you can take that hollow grind all the way up to where it would almost be the middle of the hole. It'd be just below the middle of the hole, it looks like, and I don't think that would do anything from a design perspective. It would just move everything up and give it a deeper hollow grind, and it's just going to make it pass through the material that much better. I want to preface it that because I say that much better because it goes through the material fine. Because it's so ergonomically comfortable, it passes through just fine, no issues, but it does have more resistance than I think some other knives that are out there that are going to have that taller flat grind. Just for comparison, going back to the Blade 2, if you look at how tall this blade is, it does go a little bit higher, but this being the flat grind is going to pass through a little bit smoother because the hollow grind is going to get it to bite in easier, but the thickness, it's going to flare out, so it's not going to be a huge difference on how it feels going through the material. And this is not a factory edge, but the Recon here has an edge that was aftermarket as well, and you can see laying back the edge angle does compensate a little bit for how that passes through the material, whereas if you listen, you hear more tearing with less of an edge angle on the hollow grind. So you can kind of adjust for that a little bit, but truth be told, I say all that to say for everyday carry purposes, to get into your packages and do some utility cuts and occasionally break a box down for your recycling bin, it's going to do great. There's going to be no issues whatsoever with this one. Starting price, $280. I think that's more than fair. Yeah, milled aluminum with a titanium pocket clip and a titanium button. The reason I mention that is because the actual shift starts at about $270, but it comes with S35EN, not Magna Cut. S35EN's a little bit less expensive on the scale of steels for purchasing and handling and manufacturing, rather, not handling, for manufacturing and making the blade work. So you're getting a little bit better of a steel, better, well-rounded. It's going to perform better for edge retention, toughness, and corrosive resistance overall at that heat treat than the S35EN. Not that S35EN is bad. My point being is you're getting some premium materials on here with premium blade steel with Magna Cut. starting at 280 bucks. Actually, I think it was 270. I think I'm looking at the second highest option. No, 270, whereas the actual shift is starting at 270 with the S35 and it's all aluminum. The other thing that I'd like to mention too is that the actual shift, even though it starts at 275, it does not have the milling. To get the milling, it starts at 300. So you're getting a little bit better of a deal, in my opinion, than you are with the axial. But the axial shift is USA made. This is manufactured by Best Tech for EMP EDC. So do with that what you will. You could look at the live wire, but the live wire to me is not going to have as good of a blade shape for EDC, in my opinion. I think for cutting tasks, this is going to be a better blade shape. I like the Tonto and the Warncliffe shape that I have here on the TACCOM. The reverse Tonto that you have on the TACCOM in the EMP EDC and the Recon that you have here, but Axial does offer the Tonto and they offer the Warncliffe. Tonto, reverse Tonto, reverse Tonto. I think I mixed myself up. I said that so fast. So the reverse Tonto is going to be really great for your utility task, and the Tonto is going to be good for it as well because you do have that secondary edge, but it is going to be more of a challenge to sharpen this. You're going to have to take care to make sure that you change your edge angle on there, or you can just round it and have yourself straight back. What are your thoughts on the EMP EDC shift? I really like this one a lot. I think it's a fun knife, really cool. I think it has nice features to it with the titanium. I like the milling lines. I do wish that the opening hole aesthetic was just pushed up and a little bit less gap from the top to the bottom so it was symmetrical. I think that would look really, really good. I did see a rendering recently on EMP EDC's Instagram channel on their feed where they were going to be doing a relative Bowie style blade shape, and it looked really good. And that one, the hollow grind carried up even higher because they're just replicating the fuller, not the opening hole. I do not think. Don't hold me to that. I'm 100% sure. Shout out to everyone out there that likes, comments, is subscribed, and uses the links. It helps the channel, and I love you and appreciate you for that. I hope you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.